Hey everybody, it's Aubrey Haase. Welcome to a quick training here on YouTube Live. And the cornerstone of everything that I talk about in my trainings and my coaching, no matter what, and really one of the big ideas, that really anchor transformational trainings, really anchor any way of changing your life. Anything that you want in your life that you want to get that you don't have. If you look at the subject matter and you look at the people that are training and teaching and the basis, the cornerstone of all this, all transformational trainings and all the people like Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield and all those people like that, and myself included, is all the conversation that we have around our beliefs. And I go into in detail beliefs when I'm doing a training or when I'm doing coaching, because our beliefs will form our lives. And this is going to be a quick training, a quick idea. Get your mind really thinking about what beliefs are, how they work for you, how they work against you, and if they're real or not. So, what is a belief? I think that's the best way to start out, is really talking about what the belief is. And when we're born and we come into this world, we don't have any beliefs. We don't have any expectations of the world. We don't have any idea of how things work. But then we start to experience the world. We start to have conscious experience of the world. And then we start forming beliefs. And we do that based on a few things. One, the experiences that we have. Two, what people are teaching us, because that's our biggest thing. Most of your personality, most of who you are, was developed before 7 years old. And most of it was based on your primary caregivers, and then your school teachers, and then your friends. And long before you start really thinking for yourself, in many ways, the ideas that are put in your head, the beliefs that you believe that are put in your head, are put in there by other people. You know, I mentioned before, we're born with a book that is our book. We get to write it. We get to write the story of our lives. But we don't get to write in it first. We pick up the story at some point. It's usually much later in our life. It's definitely after the age of 7. And we start picking up where the story left off of everybody else writing in it. And one of the easiest ways to kind of to talk about this, and it's an example that I use, and it's not true for everybody, but for a lot of people it is, and if it wasn't for you personally, you understand it because it makes sense, right? And I normally ask in a room full of people, I say, how many people here are religious or have religion that was taught to you in the house, or that was practiced in the house that you grew up in? And most people raise their hand. Now I say, okay, now when you became introduced to this, did your primary caregivers give you sit down with you and say, okay, now here's the Bible, and here's the Quran, and here's Buddhist philosophy, and here's this, and here's that, and here's this, Sikh religion, and here's this, and then read them all, and come up with what makes sense to you, and then we'll talk to you more about that, and we'll give you ways to learn about it. Or did they say, well, guess what? You're Catholic, or you're Muslim, or you're Jewish, or you're this, or you're that, because that's their religion, and that's what they practiced, and that's what they give to you, and they indoctrinated you into that before you had the idea of anything else out there. Now I'm going to come back to that in a little bit, because it proves something important to look at factually later in this conversation. But the whole idea is that we're living many times in beliefs that aren't even ours. It was what we were given, and we were told that this is the way it is. And then we believe it. In the old days, this is the way it is was that the earth was flat. Or this is the way it is was that the earth is the center of our universe, right? And those were things that people just blindly believe. Now, with the earth being flat, you say, okay, well, whole people, like populations, large populations of people believe this, even though none of them went to the edge of the earth, obviously, because nobody fell off. Nobody ever fell off. But that was the belief. At some point, they said if you go to the edge of the earth, which is the horizon, you're going to fall off. And nobody even went. But people believed it as if it was true. And it shaped their lives. So if somebody said, hey, let's get into a boat and go towards the horizon, people go, no, I don't want to fall off. Right? So they based decisions on this, and it wasn't even real. Right? So the way that I break down beliefs is this. All right? You have an event of some sort. And that event gives you certain information. Right? So we call those facts, the information. But we also make up interpretations about the facts that we see, and we make up our version of the facts. Okay? So sometimes we'll see facts as facts. Most times we'll see our own interpretation of what the facts are. So there's an event, and it could be something that we see, something that we experience, something that we're told, something that happens with us being a participant, something that we witness, something that we see on TV, or something that we read about, all these other things that are the event. And that event has ideas. And in that idea phase, that event has information. And in that information phase, we create ideas. Getting ahead of myself. It's okay. We create ideas. We create ideas about the information. Now, what's really interesting is we create those ideas based on previous experiences. We base those ideas based on previous things that we've heard or were told or that we can relate to, right? So even in that moment, we're not necessarily dealing with what is in front of us right now. But we have ideas. Maybe this happened, maybe that happened. If you see a car accident, that gives some information, right? Two cars met at one point. Like, that's the fact, right? There's two cars that met at a particular point. That's the fact. That's it. The interpretation, the idea is, well, maybe that car was going too fast. Maybe that car ran a red light. Now, maybe if you saw the car run a red light, that's great. But a lot of times you hear somebody say, oh, well, that car was just driving too fast. But there's no way for you to actually judge speed sitting there. You just can't do it. Our brains aren't equipped to be able to do that. So we'll see things based on our interpretation of fast and slow. And you, as you know, if you drive with a lot of different people, people's ideas of fast and slow are very different. Anyway, so that's the idea phase. And in science, in possibilities, with people that do amazing things, people stay in that idea phase. Well, what about this? What about this? Could it be this? Could it be that? Could it be this? Could it be that? What else is possible? What if it's not this? What if it's something else? Well, then what? Then what's possible? And let's see, and let's work this out, right? And it gives us a whole bunch of possibilities. But most people will take one particular idea. That car was going way too fast, and then they set that belief and they set that idea in stone in their mind, and it becomes a belief, right? So now all of a sudden that event had certain information, you made an interpretation, you grabbed an idea, you said, this is it, right? And then you believe that, and then that's your belief. And we do that in so many ways. Now, here's the interesting thing. The next time there's an event, it will still have information, but we skip the idea phase because we're perceiving all events now through our belief. All right? I'm going to repeat that. It's very important. We begin to perceive the new information through the filter of our existing beliefs. So it's very hard for us then to let in new ideas because we believe we already know how it is. But what if you're wrong? What if you're wrong? What if, we found out that we were wrong about the earth being flat. We certainly found out that we were wrong about the earth being the center of the universe. And those are the ideas that somebody said, oh, maybe things aren't right. And if you look at Galileo going against the Catholic Church that says the earth is not the center of the universe, and how he was arrested and made to basically say, oh, I never said that, right? But he was right. But the belief and that unwillingness to be wrong, that unwillingness to let what they think they know be realize what they don't know, led them to do horrible things to Galileo. And Galileo is right. And this happens in the world every day to people, every day. We judge and base other people, other instances, other events on our already existing beliefs. But what if it's wrong? What if your beliefs are wrong? What if you had an experience that wasn't actually the way you thought it was? But then instead of staying in the idea phase of going, well, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, you go, no, 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 no. It's that. And that's it. Then you make this belief. And I wrote this down today because I really liked it. So then all beliefs will limit you to the boundaries in the belief itself. All beliefs will limit you to the boundaries in the belief itself, meaning that the belief now forms your life. That belief now forms your actions, your reactions. That belief forms your perception or point of view. That belief forms the boundaries of the belief itself, and you're in the middle. You just boxed yourself in, and now there's no other possibility for you. Well, that's fine. Maybe you think in some ways that's okay, right? Like I have a belief that it's good to help people. Could that be a bad thing? You're probably like, no, that can't be a bad thing. Of course it could. Of course it could be a bad thing. I'll get that to in a second. But when you box yourself in, you remove now all other possibilities. You put yourself in a box, and that's it. The Dalai Lama has one of the most powerful quotes that I love, and he says, if science proves any part of Buddhism wrong, then Buddhism will have to change, because Buddhism is in nature a philosophy, and it's not a belief. It literally is coming from this is what I know now, and it might not be the way. Now imagine living that way. This is what I know now, and it might not be the way. Imagine the possibilities in your life. So like I said, for someone like me, right, I have a belief that it's good to help people. Could that ever be bad? Well, yeah. And if you're saying, how? Why? How? Well, think about it this way. If I think that it's good to help people, maybe, just maybe, if I help you, instead of giving you tools to do something for yourself, maybe I take your power away from you. Maybe I take away a breakthrough that you so desperately need in your life. Maybe I become an enabler of you. Maybe that you stay in victimhood and then you don't have tools to learn. Or maybe I take away an experience because like, no, I'll do it. I'll help, right? Or maybe I'll get into a relationship where I'm rescuing people. That's happened. Shh, don't tell anyone. It's happened. Right? So because I have a belief it's good to be good to people. Now, I have a philosophy of being good to people. And that philosophy changes because if somebody says, hey, can you do this for me? It all depends on if I say yes or not. It depends on the situation, because in one sense I might go, yeah, sure, I can do that for you, no problem. And in another way I might say, no, but I'll help you figure out how you can get it done. Because maybe there's a breakthrough in it for that person. Now, am I still helping the person? Yes. Am I still kind of acting in that belief of it's good to help people? Yeah. But not help like do it for them. Not help like rescue them. Not help as in take away their experience, take away their power, take away something that can help them grow. So in many ways, going through life with this idea of it's good to help people. I know some of the people that I coach, some of the people, my clients, are people pleasers. You ever hear this one? People pleasers. But their life's a disaster. That's one of the bad things about having a belief that it's good to help people, because you overcommit. You commit too much to others and not to yourself, right? So again, you only operate within that box of your belief. So as we look out into the world today, we say, oh, well, there's trans people. People like me, right? And I love when people go, I don't understand it. Good. Don't understand it. I don't understand it. Believe me, I don't. Right? But I'm in an idea phase that says, okay, so this is a possibility. And then if you say, well, I don't believe in it, that's fine. Right? I don't believe that you have to, right, believe in it, or I don't believe that you have to understand in it. I understand that there's plenty of ideas around it. It's still fairly new in the world. If I had a belief that you had to accept me, or you had to understand, or you had to whatever, then who do you think is going to end up in pain when you don't understand this, or I'm going to be in pain, right? Because it's going against this belief. So I have this belief that's set, and you're doing something that is in the opposite of my belief. And now I'm going to get frustrated because I want my beliefs to be true. In the exact opposite, that's why people like me get shot and killed. That's why people like me get dragged behind cars or beat up. Because I am a contradiction to somebody else's belief. And because they're boxed into that belief and say, no, this is the way it is, there are no other possibilities, then there's no explanation for me. Does that make sense? In that belief, there's no room for me to even exist. So it's easy to justify beating me up or killing me, because that way they are in alignment with their beliefs. They are within the boundaries of their box. Me being me, especially if I'm nice and I'm accepting and I'm like, hey, how are you? And you're like, I don't accept the way you live your life. That's great. I don't need you to. I am outside of their belief. And but they're in, so they have to jam that in. Now, the way that we jam our beliefs in, think about, you remember that toy when we were kids where you had the round peg, and you put the round peg in the round hole, and you put the square peg in the square hole, and the whole idea was to put those in. Well, that's what our brain likes to do with beliefs. We like to be nice and tidy with it because we want everything to fit in, because we don't want to feel uncomfortable. We don't want to, the brain in cognitive science, the brain tries to connect the dots all the time to understand, and so what happens is the brain connects dots sometimes that don't go together. And that's how we interpret things. And that's how we interpret sometimes the wrong things. They're not wrong. They're not facts, right? Because our brain's trying to process it. And what happens is that we have these beliefs and we're operating out of them, and it's keeping us in this area, but we take away all other possibilities, then we become uncomfortable. And we don't want to be uncomfortable. So instead of, like, we have that square peg, but we only have a round hole, instead of going, oh, well, you know what, maybe there's another possibility. Maybe there's a possibility that this peg doesn't go in this hole. Maybe I have to look for the square hole to put the square peg. We don't think like that from the box of our beliefs. What we do is we try to jam that new belief into our existing belief structure because it has to be that way for us. Because we are defined and held within the boundaries of that belief itself. So we take that square peg and we put it in the round hole, and guess what we do? What's the only way that square peg is going to be fit in that round hole? Is if you just jam it in there and take a hammer and you smash it in there, and then you saw off the corners and the sides and you jam it in there. But think about what that's actually doing. It's breaking things to pieces. It's breaking the integrity of the piece. It's breaking the integrity of the space that the piece goes in. It's creating a disaster. It's creating something that's broken. It's creating something that's painful. It's creating something that's violent. And that's literally what happens when we are boxed in by our beliefs and we're confronted by something that's outside of our belief structure. That's what's happening every day in the world right now. That's what's happening in the conversation between gay, lesbian, transgender community. That's what's happening with race and gender. That's what's happening with Muslim and Christian and Judaism and religion. That's what's happening in rich versus poor, Republican versus Democrat. That's what's happening in the world. And the funny thing is, we're so upset about it, and we're so trying to jam that square peg in the round hole that we just need to be right. Because if we feel at the end of the day we're right, then at least we can go to bed at night and rest. But let me ask you a question. If you're getting that upset about being right. One, is it worth it? And two, if you're right, why is it causing so much discomfort? Why are you feeling angry? Why are you lashing out at people? Why are you hurting other people? Why? If the round peg goes in the round hole smoothly, there's no resistance. So why do you feel so awful? Because you're bound by something. And there's a part of you that realizes that how you have it isn't the way it is. How you have it isn't the way it is. If you have a belief that you're not worthy, or that you'll never make a lot of money, you're bound by that. And you'll live your life and make that happen. You will make that belief happen. You will make that belief come true. You will become that which you believe. But you can make as much money as you want. Maybe not at the job you're at. Because that's one of the ways we'll stay within our beliefs. Oh, I can never make that much money. Sure, you can make $1 million this year. Not at my job. I never said at your job. I said you can make $1 million this year. But if you have a belief that this job is all I can do, and I'll never make $1 million at this job, you're right. You're right. And you're going to be unhappy because you're right. And you're going to be miserable because you're right. And you're going to want to go on that vacation because you're right. Because you're boxed into that belief. Is this starting to make sense? We torture ourselves with our belief structure. We torture ourselves. And then we see everything through it. So here's the thing. If your beliefs are so valuable to you, why do they make you feel so uncomfortable? If your beliefs are so important to you, why are you not living the life you want to live? Why are you angry? Why are you sad? Why are you depressed? Why do you cry at night? Why do you scream at others? Why do you beat your wife or your kids? Why do you hurt other people? Why do you hurt yourself? Why do you drink? Why do you do drugs? If your belief is so right. The first sign that maybe you should think of a new possibility is that if you're in pain right now in any way, or if you're hurting in any way, maybe it's not working for you anymore. Maybe that which you're holding on to is hurting you or killing you. There's an old Buddhist tale about a fisherman that is in a fishing village. A fisherman in a farming village. And it's a farming village, not a fishing village, because the river is so swift and it's white water and there's rocks and everything like that. And what happens is one day, as he never catches any fish, and as he's trying to catch more fish, he slips on the rocks and he falls in the water, and the current it grabs him, so he holds on to the rocks, but the current is so strong, it's just pounding his head against the rocks. And what he doesn't understand at that moment is that which he thinks is his safety, which is the rocks, is actually killing him. And then when he learned to let go, he realized that he could swim and that he could float. And he actually floated down the river until it was time, when the current was gentle enough, he could swim to shore. When he didn't resist anymore. When he realized he needed to let go that which was not serving him. He thought the rocks were keeping him safe. The rocks were what was killing him. And he surrendered. And he let go for a new possibility. And then, as it turns out, as he gets to the calm water, he swims to the shore. Guess what kind of village he ends up in? A fishing village. A possibility that was never open to him until he let go. Let go of that belief that the rocks will save him. What belief are you holding on to so tight that it's making your life miserable? What belief are you holding on to that is killing you? You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You can't make any money. You'll never have a good relationship. Nobody will ever love you. What beliefs are you holding on to that's causing pain in the world? Racism is good. Black people are this. Jewish people are this. Muslim people are this. Trans people are this. What belief are you holding on to that's causing you so much pain and anger? And how does it feel to be angry every day? You're being angry just to be right. And trying to be right is killing you. It's killing you. So go back to the idea phase. The first question you get to ask yourself is, what if I don't have it right? What if I am good enough? What if I can make $1 million? What if I am pretty enough? What if I do deserve a good relationship? What if there's nothing wrong with trans people? What if this? What if that? It opens you up to possibilities. You start breaking down that box that you're boxed in. And you go in, as soon as you break down the box, you step into possibilities. Because it's literally like walking outside of your house. It's like, imagine growing up in your house, never looking out a window, never having windows, right? Just growing up in this house. That's all you knew. And suddenly you walk outside, you go, oh my God, there's the sun, there's trees, there's other houses, there's other people. I didn't know any of this existed. That's literally what happens when you let go of your beliefs. Now, use them as a guideline. I'm not saying just trash your beliefs right now. I'm not saying that, if you're believe in God and Christ, that you just go, screw it, I'm no longer believing in those people. I'm going to do whatever. No, if your beliefs serve you, then hold on to them. But still always be aware of this. What you know is only what you know now. Listen as if you've never known anything about a subject, because you might hear something that changes your mind, or that changes your view, or you might have another experience that changes your belief once you lay down your previous beliefs. If you say all these kind of people are bad, and then suddenly you have a good experience with one of those people, you go, wait a minute, I guess not all of them are bad. But you can't even be open to having that good experience if you're holding on so tightly to that thought process, that belief that all these types of people are bad. Is that starting to make sense? So you could say, I've had experiences where these people are bad. Now here's a really funny thing. You might not have ever had an experience with any of those people that you deem bad. You just were brought up that way. You were taught that, or you saw something on the news, and you just created this idea, even though you never had an experience with one of those people. You never sat down and talked to one of those people. You never sat down and became friends with one of those people. You never went out and had a beer with one of those people. But yet you have this belief. Why? Your beliefs aren't true. They're based on something. And if they're based on a lie, if they're based on a non-truth, if they're based on a non-fact, then maybe you're sitting there going, no, the earth is flat, when it's not, and you're missing out. And then every time you get to argue about the rest of the world that says, no, it's round, it's round, it's round, it's round, you're going to get more and more and more upset. It's flat, I tell you. It's flat, it's flat, it's flat. Maybe if you get mad enough, you might hurt the person that's trying to tell you that it's round. What are you being right about? How is it affecting your life? And are you literally open to say, well, I believe it's flat, but I'm open to being shown that it's not? That's what science is all about, for God's sake. Science is all about going, well, we believe that this is the way it is now, but it could be something else. So let's see. Let's do tests. Let's run this. Let's run that. What if this? What if that? How about if we do this, this, and this? What happens if? And then there you go. And maybe you don't even get proved right away. Gravitational waves. Einstein, 50 years ago, got proven recently. 50 years of what if, maybe, what if, maybe, when it would have been easy to say, they don't exist. Probably some people did, but now they go, oh, well, I was wrong. So what are your beliefs holding you back from? Happiness, joy, intimacy, friends, love, money, success, self-esteem, self-confidence. And are you willing to be wrong about your story? Are you willing to be wrong about the way you have it? Are you willing to be wrong? Just go and say, hey, let me see. And you want to know something? If you have an idea, and it's your idea, and you have a conversation with somebody, and at the end of that conversation you still believe your idea, then great. But just be aware that the next conversation might be different. The next conversation might show you something. So be open, because it's hurting you. And I'll tell you one thing right now, being right in the world is hurting the world. It's certainly hurting government, politics, the need to be right, the need for power. Because what's happening right now, it doesn't matter what side you're on, it's all about power. And if we win, they lose. And that's what they want. And this is Americans, America. And other Americans are saying, well, these Americans need to win, so those Americans have to lose. How are we taking care of each other as a country? In your personal relationships, how are you being with your wife or your husband or with your kids? I'm going to prove that I'm right, so they're wrong. How does that make them feel? How does it make you feel? Why? Why do you need to be that person? What kind of fights and discomfort is it causing? Lack of intimacy, lack of connection. It's all things to ponder. So that's it. That's my introduction to you guys about beliefs. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, remember, what you know is only what you know right now. And at any time, you could be shown something different. So don't set those ideas in stone. Because as soon as they're beliefs, you box yourself in, you perceive the entire world from those beliefs. And if you don't have it right, you're missing out. You're missing out on a lot of things. You're going to pay a price. I'm going to pay a price. The whole world's going to pay a price. And that goes for me too, my beliefs and things like that. So they're fluid. They're not set in stone. They're fluid. All right? So I'm going to put up a couple more ways to get in touch with me. Please, if you have not subscribed to this channel so far, subscribe. If you like this training, share it, would you? Share it on your Facebook wall or on your Twitter or your Instagram. Send it on an email. Throw some smoke signals up in the air if you want to. I'd really appreciate it. That means a lot to me. Every share that you give out really touches my heart, and it allows us together to reach a few more people in the world. And that's really what it's about, is reaching out to others. So I'm going to put this up here. My website, in case you're interested, is aubreyhaase.com. Don't forget, that's 2 A's, 1 S, 1 E.com. My Facebook page, facebook.com/Aubrey P. Haase. My Twitter handle, @Aubrey Haase. And you're already watching this on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/C/Aubrey Haase. Again, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and tell your friends about it. And if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. And hopefully go browse some other videos that we got here. We're gonna keep, I'm going to keep putting them up. And inspiring the world one person at a time, and together we'll make a difference. All right, so that's it for me. I hope you have a great, whatever day it is you're watching this, whatever time it is. I hope the rest of your day, night, anything is great. And when you start taking this in now, when you start making that change now, your life will instantly start to change. All right, thanks guys.